Do you guys love ribeyes, but you struggle with flare-ups or dryness or overcooking your steak? Well, I have got all the pointers that you need for how to grill a ribeye steak. I'm gonna talk to you about how to grill it on any type of grill, but I'm gonna cook it on my Ninja FlexFlame. Let's start with the ribeye. So what is the ribeye? Well, the ribeye is actually cut from the rib primal of the cow. So that's the rib section. It's along the top back part of the cow. There are a couple things to note about the ribeye though. Not every cut is exactly the same. The steaks do vary. That's because the ribeye runs from the chuck, which is near the shoulder of the cow, all the way towards the loin, which is closer to the tail, closer to the rear of the cow. When you get a steak that's closer to the chuck and the shoulder, you get what's called a spinalis, or a fat cap. That is the part right here. This part, the spinalis, is one of my favorite bites on the whole cow because it has so much flavor and so much marbling. So I always look for steaks that have that fat cap. I also like to look for steaks that are about 1 inch thick. That way I can cook them over direct heat and get even cooking every time. When you're selecting your steaks at the grocery store, there's a few things to look for besides the fat cap and besides the thickness, and that is the marbling. You see all these white flecks within the meat? That's what makes ribeye taste so delicious. And actually, when the USDA grades beef, they actually look at the ribeye cut itself, and that's how they determine whether it's select grade, choice grade, or prime grade. Prime grade is gonna have the most marbling and the most flavor, but it is a little bit more expensive. In addition to grades, you also might wanna consider the breeds. Snake River Farms American Wagyu beef, for example, is very well marbled, and Certified Angus Beef brand always delivers great ribeyes as well. Today we're cooking boneless ribeyes. These are about 1 inch thick, and they're prime grade. Let me talk to you about how I season them. I start with a high smoke point oil. We're gonna go with about 2 tablespoons. Today I'm using avocado oil. Then I like to use my brisket rub. I use about 1 tablespoon of this. It's got kosher salt, coarse ground black pepper, garlic, and some other great seasonings that really enhance the flavor of beef. If you don't have my brisket rub, you can use a salt, pepper, garlic blend, but I think you're gonna really love it if you try this. Next, for a punch of umami, I'm just adding in about 1 teaspoon or so of soy sauce. You don't have to measure this exactly, just some kind of general ideas. Then whisk this together. It's going to create kind of a thick paste, a thick marinade. We're gonna brush this on the steaks and then we'll get the grill heated up. I like to use a basting brush here and I just brush it evenly on all sides. When you're cooking a ribeye steak that's 1 inch thick, it usually weighs about 1 pound, which can serve 2 people. So this right here will actually serve 4 people, especially if you've got some sides. If you want to make more than 2 steaks, then just go ahead and double or triple the marinade recipe. We're going to let these rest at room temperature while we go get the grill ready. When you're setting up your grill, you can use a charcoal grill, a pellet grill, a gas grill, a Ninja FlexFlame like we're going to do today, but the key is to set your temperature to high heat, which is about 500 degrees. If you're using a charcoal grill, you're going to set up your charcoal and put your grill grate on top. When you put your hand over the grates about 5 inches or so above the grate, it should take 2 to 4 seconds before that heat is so hot you're gonna need to pull your hand away. That's how you know it's about 500 degrees. If you're using a gas grill, usually your burners will be about medium-high heat, and you should hopefully have a temperature probe in your hood of your grill, and that'll tell you when it's 500 degrees and you'll know it's time to add the steaks. Pellet grill, just set it to 500 degrees, super simple. Today I'm gonna be cooking these up on my Ninja FlexFlame. I'm gonna go ahead and push in the dial, go to ignite, set it to grill pizza. We're gonna keep it at 500 degrees. If you wanna add smoke flavor, you can add wood pellets to the hopper and push the wood fire flavor button. I always double check to make sure the burner ignited. It did, so we're gonna let this preheat for 10 to 15 minutes. One thing I get asked all the time is how long does it take to grill a ribeye? Honestly, the answer depends. It depends on how thick your steak is. It depends on how cold or warm your steak is before you put it on the grill. It depends on your grill temperature, and it depends on your preferred doneness. Let's go with a 1 inch steak. If we're cooking a 1 inch steak and we're leaving it on the counter to rest just for a short period of time before we put it on the grill, and we're cooking at 500 degrees over direct heat, it's gonna take 5 to 10 minutes. I know that's a huge range, but that's because the 5-minute mark is gonna be for those who like it rare. The 10-minute mark, even 12 to 13 minutes, is gonna be for those who like it well done. I generally like my steaks medium rare, so I cook them for about 8 minutes. You shouldn't be cooking your steaks just on time, you should be cooking them based on temperature, which is why I like to use a ThermoWorks RFX wireless thermometer. You can use a wired thermometer too, I just find the wireless one works better when I'm flipping my steaks. So you take your wireless thermometer and you actually insert it into the side of the steak and you go deep toward the center and try to keep it centered between that 1-inch piece of meat. Now all I have to do is turn on my gateway, turn on my phone, and I can monitor the temperature during the whole cook. Before we add these to the grill though, let's talk about the doneness levels. If you like your steaks rare, which is gonna be really red and pink inside, you don't wanna cook it past 125 degrees Fahrenheit. If you prefer medium rare, 135 is pretty much the max that you're gonna go to. Medium will be about 140, 145. Medium well is gonna be up to 155, and well done is everything 155 and over. However, you don't wanna pull your steak at the high end of that temperature. That's because your steak is gonna have what's called carryover cooking. When you take it off of the grill, the heat inside is still activated and still really working, so it's gonna still be heating up your steak even though it's not cooking on the grill. So I like to pull my steak off the grill 5 degrees shy of my preferred doneness. That way, as it does the carryover cooking, which will range from 3 to 5 degrees, it's gonna end up the perfect temperature and you're not gonna dry it out. All right, let's go take these out to the grill. All right, we're gonna put the steaks on the preheated grill. I like to press it down just a little bit with the side of my spatula. This is gonna help you get good grill marks. After about 2 to 3 minutes, go ahead and give the steak a quarter of a turn. This is gonna give you that diamond pattern that you see at restaurants. After another 2 minutes or so, you'll flip your steaks over and you'll see those beautiful grill marks. And now, here's where you will continue cooking it until you get 5 degrees shy of your desired doneness. One key tip when cooking ribeyes is they have a lot of fat in them, so with that heat, when you have the lid open, it can cause some flare-ups. To reduce flare-ups, simply keep the lid closed except for the time when you need to flip it. Once your steaks reach that temperature that you're looking for, go ahead and take them off the grill, move them to a clean sheet pan, and you wanna let them rest for 5 to 10 minutes. This is when they're gonna have that carryover cooking, but it's also gonna help lock in the moisture so they're nice and juicy. Here's another quick tip that I have for you. As you can see, my grill is a little bit dirty now, so what I like to do while my steaks are resting is just keep the grill on, close the lid, let that burn off for 5 to 10 minutes to help clean the grill, and then I will shut the grill down right before I slice into the steaks. Now that I let the steaks rest for about 5 minutes, it's time to serve them. You've got a couple of options. You can either serve the whole steak, which is fine if you've got someone who wants to eat a whole steak, or what I like to do is actually slice it up and serve it in slices. The best part to me, as I mentioned, is the spinalis, this fat cap. So I actually like to slice this off separately and then go ahead and slice this into pieces. That way, if you are dividing this up amongst many people, everybody can have a bite of the spinalis. That's better than just cutting the steak in half and giving one person the full spinalis by themselves. I mean, honestly, I'd be happy if I got that cut, and sometimes I do go in and cut it and give it to myself, but this is a better way to give everybody maximum flavor. Then go ahead and take the eye of the ribeye, slice that up as well. Go against the grain, which means you will see the fibers in the steak are running a certain direction. You wanna slice the meat against the grain. That's gonna make it more tender. Another tip for you, when you first slice into the steak, it might not be that bright red color that you were hoping for. Don't worry about it. The steak is actually going to bloom. As the oxygen starts to hit that surface, you're gonna start to see some of that pink shine through. Here's an example right here. This is one of the pieces that I cut early, and you can see that that pink is really starting to bloom. So for me, this is a nice medium. We've got the chunks of spinalis right here. We've got the center of the ribeye right here. As I mentioned, I like to take a pinch of sea salt and just sprinkle that right on top. This is now ready to serve. Now, if you're not planning to serve all of this in one setting, I do recommend not slicing the second steak. If you want to do some meal planning and cook some steak in advance, keep it whole. That will help retain the moisture, and then you can slice it right when you're ready to either eat it cold on a salad or to reheat it. When you do reheat it, you are gonna increase the temperature, especially if you use the microwave, because you're gonna add more heat to it and it's gonna raise that temperature. To guarantee that it stays the same temperature that you cooked it to, you could sous vide it. That's a pretty complicated process though. You'd have to vacuum seal it and then put it in a bath of water at about 135 degrees and let it come to temperature, which can take 45 minutes or so if it's coming straight from the fridge. So I like to just eat it cold or just microwave it and realize it's gonna be a little bit past my desired doneness. Moment of truth, we gotta give this a taste. Wow. This is packed with so much flavor, you guys. That's because we use the brisket rub with the avocado oil, with the soy sauce, punch of umami. Got a nice crust on it because of the coarseness of this rub. Perfect saltiness level with a little hit of sea salt at the end. This is ready, guys. I'm gonna hit the road because I gotta eat the steak before it gets cold. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a recipe video like this. And be sure to leave a comment. Let me know your preferred doneness when you're cooking steak, or let me know if you have any questions about how to cook steak, and I'll be sure to answer them. Thanks guys, happy grilling.